video, I'm going to teach you how to start a film career with absolutely no contacts in the industry whatsoever. No experience, no equipment, nothing. Where do you begin? We've all heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is true to an extent. Now, I don't think you should let that stop you. And that's part of the problem with barriers to entry into the film industry, is you let things like that stop you from even beginning the process of trying to become a filmmaker. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It implies that you can just have a specific friend or a contact in the industry and you'll just magically have a career like that. It doesn't really work like that. Having contacts is important, but it's not magic. We talk a lot about nepo babies or nepotism in the industry, and that does exist. There are people out there who have famous parents, famous relatives that, get opportunities that people like you and me don't always get. And I understand where the resentment comes from, but you still have to understand that what you know does also matter. People that come from absolutely no background with no contacts do have careers in the industry. And that's really what this video is about. I want you to understand that you have the possibility of having a career in the film industry, even if you don't have any friends in the industry already. So the first thing I want to talk about, we're going to break that into two parts. Start a film career. We're going to talk about the last part first, a career. This is going to be a question you ask yourself a lot over the years. What does a career mean to you? When I first started, I had a completely different, I probably had the same idea that most people have when they start a film career. I wanted to be a director. I wanted to be a famous director who won awards and made movies that played in theaters. Everybody I knew at the time that was going into a film career kind of had that same thing. And most people, you probably do too. But as I moved on in my career, I had different ideas of what I wanted to do. Your career is going to go through ups and downs. You're going to have opportunities that are appealing to you. You're going to have opportunities that might be less appealing to you in order to just make some money. Sometimes you take those opportunities and it leads you down a path that you didn't know existed and you end up really enjoying. So give a little bit of thought into what you want in a film career. I'm assuming everybody wants to be a director. Some people are going to get those opportunities. Some people really won't. There are other things you can do in the industry that aren't that public. So you watch the end credits of a movie and you see thousands of people that work in the industry and work on every single movie that comes out. And there are all kinds of departments that have to do with film that aren't necessarily all-encompassing like a director. You know the big ones like camera, VFX, editing, lighting. Those are the big ones. But there's also set design, art direction, costume design, assistant director, construction workers, catering. There's all kinds of things that touch the film industry that pretty much anybody can do if you dedicate yourself to it. If you do want to be a director, it's a little bit of a different battle that you have to face when you're going about trying to become a working director in the industry. It's a lot harder, but there are places where you can begin. You can still make things on your own or with small crews that will help you along the line and give you the experience that you need in order to develop your skills to be able to take advantage of the opportunities to direct that might come later. And once you kind of figure out what you want your career to be, you can start to set some goals. And what I mean by setting goals is setting actionable goals. Everybody wants to be a famous director and win awards. That's not a goal, that's a wish. A long time to attain that, and you're going to just build frustration for you if that's your only goal. You've got to set some attainable goals that you can do in the short term and in the long term if you want to develop in your career. So if it's directing, your goal in the short term should be to make as many short films as you possibly can, to learn as much as you possibly can about the process of making a film from script to screen. The more you know about that and the more skills you have along that process, the better director you're going to be. If you want to be in a camera department, or if you want to be in the lighting department, construction department, editing department, your goal should be learning and getting the opportunity to do as much editing, camera work, whatever, as soon as you can. The more you start doing it, the more skilled you're going to be and the more comfortable you're going to be when you get those opportunities. And then you can start setting the long-term goals for yourself to get on those sets and to get those opportunities to be a sound person on a set, or be a camera person on a set, or to be in the lighting department on a set. Once you have the skills in place, then you can start going after those long-term goals. So now I want to go back and think about the first part of that statement. Start a film career. And I want to put an emphasis on start, because careers don't just happen quickly. You don't just get to those goals quickly. That's why I said short-term and long-term goals. When you start a film career, It's just the beginning, and it's going to influence how things go later on. So your starting of a career and setting those short-term goals should be all about learning as much as you possibly can about the filmmaking process. Pick a niche or a discipline. Pick camera, VFX, editing, sound. Pick something along the process that you can be an expert in. Because even if you want to be a director, you have to be technical in all of these places. You have to understand how all of these processes work in order to get the best product that you possibly can. I started out with editing, but I know people that are experts in camera and cinematography. I know people that are experts in sound, people that are experts in VFX. All of the things can come back and influence how you are as a filmmaker or a film director. Editing in particular, speaking from experience, I like that I was an editor first because now I know when I'm going into a film, I know what shots I need in order to have the coverage that I need to be able to edit the type of film that I want it to be. If you don't have expertise in editing and you just kind of shoot random shots that you think look nice, you're going to get into the editing room later and you're going to realize you don't have the coverage that you need to put things together in a clean way. You're going to get frustrated because you're going to wish you had a shot that you didn't get on set. If you understand how those things work, it's going to influence how you direct and how you do from a technical standpoint. The vision and the art and all of that is completely up to you. But if you don't have the technical skills, you're going to create problems for you as a filmmaker later on. So everything that you do in the short term as you're starting your career needs to be about learning as much as you can about the technical process of film. It's going to help you out later. We started with this video out with a cliche, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Another one applies here. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your career doesn't just manifest itself within 6 months to a year of you just deciding you want to be a filmmaker. Just making a film in and of itself can take months. And you want to have multiple films under your belt within the first couple of years. Don't just jump right into a feature film because that's what you grew up watching in movie theaters. Work on short films. Work on things that you may never show anybody. Work on tiny little micro shorts that are 1 minute to 2 minutes. We're in a day and time now where you can get your work out so much easier than you could just by having social media available. You might start your film career doing influencer stuff or doing things on social media, just making funny videos that you put on Instagram, seeing if people like them and seeing how people engage with that. That's an opportunity that I didn't have when I was first starting out. Right? It was very hard to get people to actually see what I was doing, even when I was trying to do smaller projects, but you have that now. So take advantage of that. And if you don't want to jump right into a short film or jump into anything that involves other people, just do something by yourself that you can learn and make mistakes. And you're not putting so much of the emphasis on having it win awards or get into a bunch of film festivals. Do something that is just for you and is just for your learning process. Because even if it doesn't work out, you can just toss it and not show it to anybody. But the point is that you learned and that you actually developed your skills as a filmmaker. And once you start getting comfortable with the filmmaking process, then you can start to build your network. All right. Then you can start making short films that you take to festivals. You can join industry groups and you can start making friends that do other parts of the filmmaking process that can help you along yours. So like I said, I started out as an editor. I needed help with people who had cameras and who were familiar with cameras. So I started making friends there. I started making friends that work in lighting departments. I started making friends that work in sound and work on doing greens and all kinds of different things in the process. So now when I want to make a film, I have a library of people that I can call to see if they're interested in helping out with the next project that I have. Once you do that, that's when the opportunities start coming along to start developing in your film career and start achieving some of those long-term goals that you had. So you're sort of manifesting that what you know into who you know, because what you know does matter. Just knowing somebody in the industry, whether it's a relative or a friend that you happen to make, those can get you opportunities, but what you know is what keeps you there. You can get your foot in the door with a contact, but what you know actually keeps you in the room and keeps you working, because you don't want to just get there. You want to actually work once you're there. I hope this was a helpful video. Starting a film career is hard. Trust me, it's going to be hard the entire time. But if you're patient with yourself and you dedicate yourself to learning, you can get where you want to go. You can work in this industry. There are a lot of opportunities and they're growing every single day. Even though we're in a bit of an uncertain area with AI and streaming kind of making the film industry a little more complicated, there are still tons of opportunities. If you take it seriously and if you dedicate yourself to learning, you can get to where you want to go. And if you want more help and if you want some advice, I'm available for coaching. Click the link in the description and set up a time for us to chat. No obligation, doesn't cost anything. Just sit down with me for half an hour. Let's discuss your goals. Let's discuss where you want to go. And I can hopefully point you in the right direction. If you want to see more videos like this, remember to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. So that's a work in progress.